y'all. We back at the Gentleman's Lounge. We appreciate the fans as always, and we definitely excited about today. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second. But before we do that, of course, we're gonna start, man, with the introduction. You got none other than handsome phenom, man, AJ Simmons.
What's up, y'all? I'm in the building, man. Y'all already know what it is. What's up?
Yeah, you know, we got Jay Jones with the glasses on today. Yeah, non-prescription.
Nah, he ain't put his contacts in today, man.
And you got bald ass Les is kind of gonna lead the topic, man. But what the thing that I'm excited about, man, we've been trying to get my boy Ross on the show for a good minute, man. We tried to get him last season. Now we getting him this season, but it came at the perfect time because there's a lot of topics to talk about. So I want y'all to welcome, of course, Ross Mack in the building. What's up, baby? Salute.
Salute, man. Salute to the guys, man.
I don't know happy to have you on, man. We got history, dog.
Yeah, you already know, man. Big history, dog.
Big history, and you got history with Chicago, dog. I think, man, I forgot who introduced us, to be honest. It was definitely a young time when I first started with Duce. Shout out to, Rock Nation Duce, man. Where we started, you was promoting parties. Man, you was a rapper. And this is when you actually moved back to Chicago.
We
from
promoted
New York, right?
movements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Low key.
Cultural events that just shook up the nation.
Yeah.
It was a massive movement.
He ain't lying because...
He'll bring 1,000 motherfuckers out, though.
No, low key. He's never done a small venue.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And the times that he used to bring information to me, like his passion and excitement for the topic, I'm just like, how can I not buy in?
Man, I gotta pick his brain about it, man. You know, I just started promoting about 8 months ago.
Oh, you're promoting that, AJ?
I'm trying to do a little something.
Oh, damn, that's sinful, dog.
That's awesome.
Something slight.
Promoters
I
ain't got
figured.
no soul, man. Majority of them.
You said they what?
They ain't got no soul.
They
I only fool with a couple promoters.
You fool with me though? You ain't even know. You fool with me?
Get a couple venues.
Get a couple venues. Hey, look, we gonna talk about it for sure.
Nah, I mean the guys know. Ross was one of them. Shout out to Sigma Chris, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My boy Charles and their whole team, Jeff Asuji and their whole team, like good people to actually do business with, man. Because there's some promoters out there where you just like, yo, I can't. Yeah.
What makes a promoter shady?
Man, you know what? In my opinion, it's just like you got to be true to your word, and it's like it's got to be transparent. So
you think they just be on some
you can't try to one up everybody on the bread. You know what I'm saying? You can't try to finesse and be like, oh, I ain't get the call, or I ain't get the text, or I'm gonna take whatever I can from you and not give back. I'm big on partnerships. Like we gonna build relationships. I'm not big on one-offs. You got promoters just like, yo, I come to you because I want something, and that's it. And that's it. They ain't willing to give nothing back, or they're not willing to talk about certain things. And then that's the point that I be meaning, man.
Makes sense. I know.
They ain't got no
I know something that's like that, but I ain't
gonna. Show on MTV or VH1 or BET, like whatever. Or as far as like, okay, promoters of the year or promoter house. You know, for a reason, right? Because it's a tough industry. You can make a lot of money.
Hey, that's an idea though.
Yeah.
Promoter.
It is, right?
Promoter wives.
Right. Promoter wives, right?
Promoter wives. Side pieces for sure.
I ain't been a promoter, but if you come back to Chicago 10 years from now, are you really gonna see the same promoters?
10 years from now?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah. I mean, it's only like...
Or shit, even 10 years ago, shit.
No, 10 years ago, it was still the same. Couple promoters. Two or three, like, been in the game for a good minute, man.
Right now, I would say... Like you said, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's some young dudes that's really doing their thing out in the city, and they'll be here 10 years from now.
But let me not downplay it, because Ross is in the story that I was kind of painting, man, it's been bigger than that, because I've seen you promote, but then I've seen the hustle. You classic Chicago hustle, where not only was he a promoter at the time, but he was a rapper too, right? And he still is a rapper. I know he still be making music.
That's what's up.
Was that the time where you just moved back from New York?
Yeah. So I had just moved back from New York.
You was like the Black Wolf on Wall Street, right?
Facts. So background is I worked in finance for a long time. That's
same. Finance. It's always a job.
So working in New York was a vibe, but the crazy thing is I always wanted to, like you say, throw events, throw experiences. So me and my brothers, shout out Jay, we was in New York, and we had started a traveling, event company, right? We started working with brands. We actually... Funny enough, I know we ain't talking no brands, but Casamigos, they first year, they was one of our title sponsors.
Word.
I wish we would have got some equity on God. Quiet as kept. But we used to throw a lot of events, whether it was in New York, because that's where we were living, and then Philly, we went to school there, and then D.C., Atlanta, LA, Chicago. So when I moved to Chicago, it was like, all right, we got to put the flag here. Yeah. And that's why instantly I was like, man, what's the spot? Started off small. Shout out Kenny. We was at Velvet Lounge.
Velvet Lounge.
And then the very next spot.
That's where he was at now.
Yep. Yeah. Velvet, and then I forget the name. He changed it, and then it's Hugh.
Sage Room.
Sage Room.
And then I started going to
Joe's, right?
Joe's on Weed
Joe's on
Street.
Weed Street.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
I remember that.
We did a little something at Joe.
That's when we used to pack that out. That's when we used
What
to
you do, Red Cup karaoke or something?
Nah, I threw an event called Drills. So it's the Drills.
I remember
used
that.
to crack.
Did you do the one in
Hell yeah,
2017? 2017, that sound.
Yeah, now any drill that
was-
you've
that was
ever
you?
heard of, not on no Chief Keef song, or nothing
Right,
like that.
right.
Not the drill music,
Bro,
but
I
the
went to,
drill in general. That's me.
Yeah.
I threw
Okay.
all those.
So we was there in 2017. It was busting. It was a good time.
Yeah, so that's how we.
And I was young
back,
as hell
man.
back
Way
in
back, man.
I was 25.
And it's just built from there, man. Like, and when you got good chemistry with people, it goes down work, man. You like, yo, I just fuck with you on a real. So then, you start building like other areas of life or whatnot. So man, what kind of pushed you to New York? Would you think that you could still be just successful from the finance game in New York compared to like going to school in Chicago for it?
Nah, so
And I would agree.
like New York is the capital of finance, right? It's
Hustling.
like if I'm gonna be an actor, am I gonna move to Detroit or I'm gonna move to LA, right? And so after I came, because I went to UPenn, right? Not a lot of us coming from the South Side gonna go to Ivy League, so I went to UPenn,
Okay.
and then that was in Philly, and then from there I interned every summer in New York, and then while living in New York, which was dope, was because like it's just a melting pot. It's like 8 million people out there, but it is the finance capital. That's the #1 industry there. And while you out there, you just learning a whole different realm. You're just learning to play the game a little differently.
Talking different
You know what
talk
I'm
after a
saying?
while.
You know what I mean? Like when how kids out here go broke, buying some Jordans. I used to be trying to figure out what all the rich white dudes out here are wearing. Okay, Ferragamo tie, let me grab that. The Gucci, but the Gucci loafers with the gold buckle. You know what I'm saying? So I used to always try to emulate. But no, to answer your question, I had to live in New York because I was just a finance capital. Any big financial firm, had their, I won't necessarily say headquarters, but they had a presence there.
Yeah.
And
What about you back to Chicago then?
I was just about to say, so I ended up getting a better opportunity on the work side. So in New York, I worked at Morgan Stanley, doing sales and trading. I did that for 3 years or so. And then I moved back to Chicago. I worked at a hedge fund. And I worked at Grosvenor Capital here in Chicago. So it was dope because me and my girl, who's now my wife, we was long distance.
Shout out to wife.
You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of made sense, like, all right, I'm going to come back home. And also for a better opportunity on the job side.
Yeah.
So it only made sense, right? Coming back. And then literally just took off by storm on all fronts.
I feel like it was overnight. So it's crazy because I know you probably doing so much stuff behind the scenes that I wasn't even privy to. Because I met him when it was like promoter, rapper, all that stuff. I had no idea what the
Outside.
was.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I finger snapped, and all of a sudden it's like, oh damn, he got
this going on.
Maconomics, he got this, he got that. He's like top 40 under 40, whatever it is. Got McDonald's, man. Like, you've been doing your thing. And I kind of feel like it's just been under the radar until like the last 3 years or whatnot.
No, that's real, bro. It's interesting you say it that way. That's dope.
I pay attention to my homies though.
Because now when you actually take a step back and you was like, I fucked with him on the promoter side because he was a good man. It was like, I threw parties off the love of putting people together and creating experiences. Like, I was the type to have Twister come out or Valet come out or Jeremiah come out, and it wouldn't even be promoted. That was like the experience at a drill. But I say that to say, like, we was throwing it off the love as opposed to as a survival mechanism. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what, made our relationship better because it was like, yo, he genuinely rock with the people.
Right.
And my last party I threw was February, All-Star Weekend here. On some COVID, like right at the COVID lockdown.
2020.
Yeah.
February 2020, the world locked down the next month.
We went
It
out
was
with a
like,
bang.
yeah.
Where was that at? Where was that event at?
That was, so we did 2 events because I had partnered, we had did a activation with Mountain Dew. So it was like, what was the spot that was above? So the end party was at Bureau Bar, but Bureau Bar that was in
South Loop.
Not the South Loop.
it
No,
was-
the first Buell bar that was in University Village.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that one?
Yeah.
I don't.
University
Like
Village
Flays
was
and
off
everything.
off Halsted, across the street
Yeah.
from Flays.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like radio. It's
Go right across the street.
now or something.
Yeah,
something else
yeah,
now.
yeah. I don't
Okay.
even know what it is now, but like, so this 2020, right? Mind you, at that time, the year prior, we had Drink House going. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of vibes.
Also, you was promoting that drink house too?
Nah, I was
you
one
was-
of the investors at Drink House.
Oh, okay. So you know Teddy and them. Okay.
Yeah.
I got my qualms with Drink House. We can talk about that off the record.
Hey, we used to go out to work. We used to be out to work, and at the time I wasn't making what I'm making now. But man, you order one drink, you're like, damn. With gratuity and shit, $20, damn! I can't even
Still a
enjoy.
lot. I don't care if I'm rich or not.
Man, still though.
$20
But
for one drink is still a lot.
imagine now, imagine then when I wasn't making
That's New
half
York.
with
That's
this.
New York
I was
price.
like,
I ain't
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
lie,
New
when I
York.
came to Chicago, I thought this was sweet. I felt like I was in the boondocks in the South.
Yeah.
And I one time went to the boondocks in the South. I could buy everybody a drink. Gee, New York is different.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I ain't gonna even lie, bro. I was making great money working on Wall Street, and I would still go to the club with a flask.
That's how I be. Look, I
No
see
shame. Ain't no shame in my
seen
games.
the,
Right,
post.
spending several, like before people made it like, all right, we buying big bottles and all that. Like I remember the expenses of going downtown. This was when it was taxis.
Bars.
No Ubers, no Lyfts. It's taxi costs, you know it's gonna be 50 going, 50
Right.
coming. Damn. 60 going, cause I'm in Harlem and you going downtown.
Yeah.
I'm like, gee, I'm definitely bringing a flask. I order one drink, I'm trying to stretch it.
Right.
Cause the drinks, like you say, 20 something. Instantly.
Yeah.
But y'all cut you out, my man.
No. I see the post. I actually sent it to Jared, bro. It said $100,000 salary in New York was equivalent to 39,000, 37 or some shit.
Crazy.
Man, crazy as hell, bro.
That's why I don't carry cash in New York. Because I would spend that stuff instantly, man. Everything like, cash.
That's why I just
Nah.
visit New York.
Let me put a limit on my card real quick. I need
I
that alert.
wanna
I need
live,
that alert
but-
when I go over this limit for the week.
Damn, that's real. That's real.
My sister stayed in Bed-Stuy, man. Shout out to the Brooklyn area, man. I moved out there for like 3 months, and I fell in love with the city.
Bro, I love New York.
Culture is
I ain't never been to New York.
Like the women talk
Never
fast.
been?
I love it. The
Never
dudes
been.
are like homies. Like
Wow.
never been to New York.
Nope. Wow.
My sister's been to New York, but I ain't never been to
AJ,
New York.
shame,
man.
dog.
Shame on me,
At your
man.
age, you should have been to every major city.
I have,
real, for
except for
real.
New York.
Except
I
for
haven't
New York.
been
In LA, that's crazy. LA and New York.
Because
LA and New York.
I've never really been in like tech, like Houston or Dallas.
You ever been to Houston?
I'm
Yeah.
going this weekend.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I've never been to LA or New York.
One of my old teammates, man, best friend out there. Shout out Steve. He out there.
Okay.
And he know a lot about the city, man.
Like
I don't know if
Texas.
you gonna have
But
time
I feel like
Steve,
New
though.
York and Houston ain't the same. Like you
They
gotta
not-
go
they
to
not.
New
Oh,
York.
most of. Like Texas,
Hands down.
Dallas, I've been 7 times. Houston, I've been 4 times and shit. It's just I've been out the country many times, but
been to
just
Arizona?
never. Yeah, I've been to Arizona.
New York is somewhere
I've
you
been
need
to all
like
type of
you need
shit.
at least about 2 weeks just to really see the entire city because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much shit.
Massive.
I've been
I
trying
done, bro,
to
and
go
I done
for
been
New
like
Year's
5
Eve.
times and I still have yet to see everything.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I live there. And I still have yet to see everything.
I
So
live in
feel you.
Chicago and I still haven't.
Of course, I was about to say the same shit.
I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, did you go on this tour?
Nope.
I've never. Oh, like that's it.
What is that?
Yeah, you ain't gonna really know that stuff.
So what got you heavy into like the finance game? Well, what I loved about it, man, is when you moved back. Of course, we had our own relationship, but then I started seeing like you was giving some mad like info, like some tidbits, some stuff that you should be paying for to like the black community, man. As far as like wealth, how to generate it, what the hurdles are, like what the system setup is. So what kind of created that passion for it?
Yeah, well, getting in finance was just off the strength of me gravitating to what I did best as a shorty. So like I always was entrepreneurial. I was selling candy. You know what I'm saying? The little candy store right there on 71st Estate off the Dan Ryan. I'm going there with
That's the big
$100.
old district.
LMP.
Oh God,
we used to
I'm
get it
going
in
there
bulk.
with $100 and trapping off the school bus. You feel me? So I was an entrepreneur, but when I started in finance, as simultaneously doing rap, making music, as an artist.
You was making videos too, bro. It wasn't like some petty rap.
SoundCloud shit.
It was
Like
real.
in a-
It was
like,
real.
making, like real music.
Yeah.
I've made money off music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'd say we get into that, but like making placements, getting syncs and licensing, having your shows on video games and TV, like movies and Netflix shows and stuff like that. So
That's what's up.
definitely that's one thing. But in terms of like how I got into, creating the brand Maconomics, it was really on some like, all right, I went by the moniker, the Wall Street rapper. And if I'm like, all right, I'm the Wall Street rapper, I'm talking to somebody who's like, yo, they trying to work with me, you know, trying to manage me or something. They like, so what's Wall Street rapper? Nobody knows what Wall Street is. This is before, you know what I'm saying, before everybody was talking about finance on social media. They was like, you got to start telling people what Wall Street is. I'm like, yo, all right, bet. Then I had another homie like, yo, you ain't really my homie if you don't teach me how to get to a bag. And so that's when I started making and created a brand called Maconomics, which was literally saying, how can I bring financial literacy to the inner city? Because what I realized when I moved back to Chicago, because when you're in New York, the thing you'll see when you visit is that it's just super fast paced. Nobody's slowing down. I worked in the middle of Times Square. So like the #1 tourist area in New York, I'm walking in there, I'm trying to look more important than I am. You feel me? And I'm living in Harlem, I'm walking fast. Every second you miss, you might miss the train. You wait. The train is, if it's 80 degrees outside, it's 100 up under the subway. So you moving quick, right? But when I moved back to Chicago, I'm like, wow, a lot of people who I grew up with weren't necessarily exposed to a lot of the stuff that I was exposed to. And I really look at you know, the wealth gap, education gap in this country based on what you exposed to. And so what I wanted to start doing was like, okay, let me expose my community, my South Shore, my South Side, my East Side, whatever, to the stuff I was exposed to by being and working on Wall Street. And what I realized is working on there is like, bro, what we are ingrained in our society, other cultures have a completely different upbringing. They value different things. They have different conversations, right? Like right now, if we just talking shit, no cameras on, we might be talking about sports. We might be talking about girls, right? We talking young shorties. And, you know, a different counterparty might be thinking about, man, let's come up with this type of idea. How can we raise capital around this?
I see a need here.
You know what I mean? And other groups are saying like, oh, bro, you open up that account for your daughter, or you do, what you do for your retirement, or man, how, you know, man, I got a 750, but I'm trying to get an 800 credit score. I say that to say like the conversations are sometimes different in different communities, especially on the upbringing. Like I remember being a shorty at the crib watching BET and seeing Comic View, or you know the famous joke on Comic View was like, you know, it was a lot of jokes on there, but I remember when I was talking about bill collectors, and then I'm thinking about that. So like when I started really taking a step back, I'm like, gee, the white people that I was working amongst, because I was, for all intents and purposes, when I started at Morgan Stanley, when I started on Wall Street in 2012, I was the only black person on my desk.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I learned a lot of stuff. It's different to walk down the aisle, going to the bathroom, and see a person that's, I don't know at the time, 38, 40, and he checking his 401k and he got $2 million in there. And he's like, man, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like, okay, wow, all right, bro, okay, let me figure this out. You know what I mean? I'm hearing different people talking about, oh, you know, dude, definitely need to get an LLC, bro. You see my suit? I'll write this off because this is a business expense and yada yada. And these are just conversations that you just
inherit,
and they start asking more questions if you actually like
exactly. And so what I realized is that exposure is the greatest teacher. You know what I mean? They say experience is the greatest teacher. Don't touch the aisle, it's hot. The kid gonna touch it. They know never to touch it again. But exposure is also, if not even a bigger teacher, because it helps you even fathom and dream about things that are different. Because if
what you think your reality is.
Exactly. If you take a kid that's from the west side or the south side and they never left the south or the west side, they can't fathom anything other than what's in their near
violence, whether it's like, link card. It's like, oh no, I need to take advantage of the system. I need to get this link card. And stuff like, no, you actually do something much more bigger than that.
Exactly. And so that's when I'm like, man, let me take Maconomics and put it digitally, put it out on social. And so I literally was like, I got to put out. And this was when Instagram only had 1-minute videos. That's the most you could do. There was no IGTVs. There was no TikToks. So I just started making 1-minute videos.
No reels.
Oh, God. It was just quick. And it would be like, yo. And what I wanted to do was take the Tyler Perry approach, where I'm going to have something funny, make you laugh, and then bring you in to educate you, right? Because, you know, a lot of Tyler Perry movies going to have something that's gonna educate the, you know, it's
You gonna learn. You'll learn something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, I'm about to just start doing Maconomics and make it funny as hell. Or I'm gonna have somebody call in. You know, they call in like, hey man, my baby daddy just got locked up. He left me with some money. I'm trying to flip it. I'm trying to have him like, I'm trying to be like Keisha Q when he come out. What to do with it? And so, boom, I'm instantly gonna say, okay, well, let's talk about how to invest. Now we talking about buying stocks. We talking about whether it's crypto. We talking about retirement. We talking about how to improve your credit. And so when you really looked up, what started out, I was doing this in like 2018, 2019, is just, it started becoming more organic. And then from the organic stuff, Revolt hit me. They like, yo, we really like this. Is it okay if we repost it? I'm like, hell yeah.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? And so what ended up happening with Maconomics and Revolt, they was like, yo, we really like it. We want to start licensing it. Now, you know, we need you to make these amount of videos. Boom. And then from there, they like, yo, our sales team is going out and selling it. Now we talking to bigger clients, whether it's a State Farm or Target. And then from there, you know, you just start working with bigger brands, and then you're working with different, you know, entities, right? I work with BET, right? I work with Complex. I work with The Street. And then it's like, you know, shout out my dog here. We both on Netflix.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say that,
Yeah, we both, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely
So,
checked it out.
but it all, like you say, but it really started with a passion, and the passion that would have never had that passion if I ain't moved back to the city, because I was in my own world. Like when you in your own world in New York, like I say, that's what I'm saying. It's very fast paced. You kind of one track minded because you're like, man, okay, I'm trying to get promoted. I'm working hard, keep my head down. Because at that time, I ain't gonna lie, I was waking up at 5:30 after going to sleep at 1 a.m. All the time, partying type goofy stuff. You feel me? But like I'm working from 6:30 to 6:30. 6:30 to 6:30. That was my hours for the most part, right? Yeah. And when you really look up, you're doing that 2-3 years, it's like, damn, time gonna fly. But then it's like you ain't really have no sense of giving back, because technically, coming from the South Side, I'm from the East Side, I'm from South Shore. In your mind, it's like you technically made it, but you ain't got nothing to show for it in the sense of like you ain't rose the tide, with, you know, for anyone else. And so coming back to Chicago was some of the greatest experience, because now I'm back. I'm throwing events, and my events was never a fight. Oh, you ain't stay that long. You was in and out.
I was there for like the first 2 hours.
Oh, I'm like, listen, you sound like
You gonna call you a come set everything up?
I can't stay. It's hard for me to stay anywhere longer than 2 hours.
But as you should.
And it's not even that you're bored. It's just like, yo, I just need to change the scenery.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, life moves fast. So I'm like, boom, it's on to next.
That's
But no, it was never an issue, man. I never remember a fight. I remember Twister being there for one of the events that we sponsored. But it was always cool, and that's what you pay attention to, is the people that they hang out with. Because like when I met his crew, it was like, okay, they don't seem shady. They seem cool, like they deliver on what they promise, right? If I can't get in touch with him, it's like, yo, if I hit one of your boys up and be like, yo, I got guests that's trying to get in, answer. And it was always the case, though. But you brought up a really good point, man, as far as like exposure. So my son's been to more countries than I've been when I was his age. Like, actually,
He probably been to more countries than all of us, right?
Probably.
Dude travels, man. I feel bad for my daughter. You know, shout out my daughter, man. I feel bad for her because, thank you, man, because I don't know if I can keep up the same pace. Shout out to the kids that. But the point that I'm making is, man, you brought up a great point about exposure, because me being like my primary roles in sales. And when I was living in Michigan, man, it's a melting pot of all types of cultures. I mean, I was talking to Chaldeans, whites, blacks, everything. But the thing that stood out was two people. I had a customer or a client that was Chaldean. And it's a huge Chaldean community out there.
Very huge.
In Michigan. So then I'm like meeting with him, and me and him hit it off. Good. Sales are booming. So I'm trying to get in touch with his other people around. Closing doors. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm over here talking to him. He said, yo, Les, I ain't gonna lie, like, my people, they only fuck with like us. It's like, I have to introduce you. I have to be able to tell them, like, you good to do business with, because no matter if you're the cheapest or whatever it is, like, they don't care, because they want to do business with our own people, which black community, that's the piece that we lacking with, that we need to recover. So then when he told me that, I'm like, cool, let's make the introduction. Boom, sales booming again. Another client, Jewish dude, really good relationship. It took us like 8 months to really get like real tight. And he started breaking it down. I asked him an honest question. I was young, in my 20s. This dude was like in his 50s, ready to retire. Owns like multiple businesses. And I was like, yo, can I just ask you a question? We're just having a casual conversation. I was like, man, what advice would you give somebody like me? Literally just flat out told them, like, what advice would you give somebody like me to accumulate wealth? And they started breaking it down about residual income, dividends, stocks, investing. And I was like, yo, I never fathomed, I don't even know what dividends were at the time.
Yeah.
And I went to school for business. But they don't really hone in on like, yo, how to maximize dividends. They tell you about micro and macroeconomics, right? They tell you about marketing, they tell you about sales, but they don't really tell you about like, yo, how to flip markets, how to actually ride the wave, things like that. So when they exposed me to that, all of a sudden my whole investment strategy changed. And I guarantee you, if I didn't have those conversations, between those two people, my life would drastically be different right now.
Yeah.
Bro, that's an amazing story.
For real.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate how you educating people now about stuff like this. Like when I watch his Instagram and he got the video with his daughter in the background, I love the setup where it's like, yo, what would you do about this? Like, or maybe the feds are raising the interest rates. Baby girl, you want to know? Gotcha, I'm glad you asked. And all of a sudden, breaking it down, it's like, even though it's stuff that I may know, but it's stuff that I guarantee you
There are a lot of people that don't know.
Don't
So
mad
that go
respect
back.
for that, man.
Nah, let's love. But it go back to the conversation though, because we learn stuff subconsciously, right? Like I grew up on the South Side. Subconsciously, I knew when I'm walking to the bus stop, I got to try to look tougher. So Mark don't try to pull it with me, right?
I'm light skinned, so I think the choice is tough.
Yeah.
He was a little bigger though. So
That's right.
He's leaving a lot of stuff out. I was a little short. But I feel you. But like all this stuff is subconscious. And like when we think about that, right? If you subconsciously are telling your kids about investing, if you telling your kids, oh, you want to go to Disney World, well, guess what? We're going to a company you own because you own Disney stock.
Right.
Now the conversation different in our community, and that's what it's all about because we are like us as Black people, bro. We really we're so talented, but a lot of our talent has just been like laser focused in areas that don't procure the best return on investment, right? So we've always been, so anytime you go on social media, Black people will be first to, we made Clubhouse popping. We don't own it, right? We do this, and so it's just like a lot of the stuff that we do, unfortunately, we haven't been taught. And that's a great thing that you was talking about. This stuff ain't taught. You went to business school and it wasn't taught.
Yeah.
Like, bro, at the end of the day, the stuff that we learn in school is not transferable.
It's systematic, man.
You know what I'm saying?
It's a wheelhouse.
And
But they kind of train you to like, oh, you go get a job. And this is how you go ahead and grow in this job. And this is how you do this and get promoted. And it's like, be honest, I mean, they got entrepreneur classes out there, but they really don't teach you like, yo, this is how you flip the system. This is how you say, fuck it, I'm about to maximize my tax returns. This is how I'm about to, they don't teach you none of that.
So how do you get that wealth? Just word of mouth? Somebody that you know?
See, I
mean,
think
how does the average person get that knowledge?
Oh, get that knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, and I'll let him talk about it even further, but I kind of feel like it's what we talked about, right? Exposure.
Who you know?
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, who you know, but I mean, go places.
Yeah.
You can know all the right people in Chicago, but you got to imagine the culture is still the same.
True.
There's just different levels of that, that culture, but however, people don't think the same. But imagine if I'm higher up in Chicago, but I meet somebody from Arizona, or I meet somebody from LA that thinks a little bit different about things, and I meet somebody from New York. Now I have all these different cultures that I can like blend together and be like, you know what? We doing things great here. However, why can't we do a little piece of what they doing in LA here or New York? New York, bro, you talk to a New Yorker, a real New Yorker that actually know they shit. Shout out to my boy Reggie and all them. Like the conversation is drastically different. Yeah. They'll talk circles around you. Literally, you have to, you just be quiet, like, because you're like, damn, it would have took me about an hour to get to this part that you thinking, but you already thought about it in 5 minutes. Yeah. And that's why that's the growth that I had between like my sister living in New York, actually living there for 3 months. I gained so much value because it was like, actually, I can start thinking a lot faster and I can start thinking about bigger picture.
Right.
I ain't thinking about one-upping somebody.
Facts.
And that's some of the hard part. But I don't know what your opinion is as far like how you continue to like build that knowledge of accumulating wealth, residual income, whatever it is, to kind of break those barriers.
So when you really take a step back and say, how do we build wealth? We got to understand we are hundreds and hundreds of years behind, right? We centuries behind. And so at that token, right, like it has been systemically, there's been systems put in place to keep us from attaining wealth. Right. Yeah. And so the biggest thing, right, is it's a mindset. It's all about transitioning and changing a mindset to help us say, all right, how do I build wealth? The biggest thing is like, because we are so far behind. A lot of people are always trying to get rich quick. We're trying to gain wealth the quickest. And the reality is wealth is accumulated over years and years and years. And the unfortunate part is when you really think about what wealth is, and it's really, there's something called compound interest where your money is making interest and that interest is being reinvested and all the new money is making more money and it's just a cycle of it. But the reality is if our grandparents was able to own cribs, then we can inherit $1 million cribs, right? We inherit life insurance policies, we inherit retirement accounts. And because we never were able to do that, we always are starting from
Scratch.
the bottom. Scratch. It's like literally going around the Monopoly board and everybody that went around and bought property. Everybody that had 20 rolls before you get the roll. So now you tiptoeing, not trying to land on their property, trying to only, it's one property left over there. You hope
trying to get it
on it. And that's really what it is. And so what it boiled down to is really the knowledge base and changing our relationship with money. Because you talked about something, the Chaldeans and how everybody was spending money with one another. One, black people, we got a decent amount of spending power. Unfortunately, we just spend it
on dumb shit.
Right? A dollar leave our community in 4 hours. A dollar gonna stay in the Jewish community for 19 days. It's just that simple, right? So right now, if I'm Jewish, when I leave here, I might go to a Jewish deli. I'm going to my Jewish dentist. I'm doing this. Like, I'm spending the money with people that look like me, whereas for us, unfortunately, we go to the neighborhoods. Our corner store's not owned by somebody. The gas station not owned by somebody that look like us. And so when we really start thinking about it, it's unfortunate we got to go out of our way at times to support a black-owned business. But outside of that, that's one way. But the way is really changing our mindset with money and actually investing. And how do we get that? It's the knowledge and it's the patience to say, all right, I can show you how to get rich, but you got to be patient enough to know it might take a few years. Because it's a true blueprint to retire wealthy. Right? 30 years, you put, 350 into the S&P 500. That's going to compound. You'll be rich when you retire. But everybody you turn on social media,
they want
the culture that, the powers that be, the powers that be, the culture that they want us to really engage with, that makes us, more prone to violence, more prone to wanting to take chances, penitentiary chances, to get rich now. Right? And as a result, we living in a facade that make us say, like, damn, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, the powers that be, the music we listen to, the shows we watch, right? Like, the true powers that be that control certain things, it puts us in a vacuum that makes the idea of us as black people, attaining wealth, it's far.
Very far.
It's harder to grasp. It's harder to get.
And I think another thing, too, is, like, our community, us as black people, like, we really have to seek out this information in order for us to learn. Like, you go talk to some white people or somebody of a different culture, they're having these conversations with their kids all the damn time. For black people, we got to find this out. We gotta go read a book. We gotta go talk to somebody. These other people, they can go talk to their mom, their dad, because they've been doing it. Our parents, our grandparents, they, for the most part, haven't done it or haven't been doing it. So it's like our generation is like the generation that's really trying to really create generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is it's what's hard for us because like we don't have that we're climbing an uphill battle.
It's passed down from
other generations, other fucking. What you call them shits? Other races.
But it's passed down. Like you said, it's passed down from generation to generation. Ours wasn't passed down. That wealth and that knowledge.
We don't have generational wealth. We get generational trauma. And so the way we rectify it, is we change the conversations. And that's why I post content on a daily, right? My social media, like let's say is I'm driving my daughter to daycare and I'm talking to her about grown people shit. Shit that's only on CNBC. And it might go over her head, but it's subconscious. If I only talk to my daughter in Japanese, if I only talk to her in Spanish, she'll be fluent in that shit when she's 4 or 5. And that's what the thing is, right? Like financial literacy, a language. And so the earlier you learn how to speak it, you become fluent. And the reality is the way I talk to my daughter, I talk to her like she's grown, and what I'm doing is making sure, right? And it's not, see, the thing is, right, when we talk about the dinner tables at different cultures, they do that in the comfort of their home and their 4 walls. I'm doing it with my daughter in my car or in my house, but I'm doing it on social media. So what I do to my audience is say, okay, if bro talking to his daughter about this, then why don't I know this? Or why don't I talk to my kids about this?
Yeah.
And so now we making it easier to talk about something because us as people, we inherently shy away from the stuff we're not sure about, we're not comfortable about, right?
Yeah.
Right, because if I tell you, if I walk into a barbershop right now and I say, man, Brian, weak as hell. Jim gonna go, the barber go, what?
Everybody gonna go crazy.
Everybody got an opinion.
Everybody got an opinion.
What if I say right now the best time to buy stocks is right now? Motherfuckers
I'm like, stocks, what?
Man,
What's
shit.
You
that?
bringing up stars, bro.
That's cool and all, but
but it's like and that's the same though. When I would have a presentation as a kid, if I don't know the topic, I'm gonna get nervous, right?
If you're not confident about what you're talking about.
Always. And so now it's like, how do we make people more confident? So like, let's say people hit me up, people I've never met, different races, different cultures, and they like, yo, I watch your content on a daily because one, I love how you interact with your daughter, but I'm learning stuff. And so to your question, coming all the way back full circle, is education, but it's the fact and the mindset of us saying, I want to seek out that information. Because right now, no bullshit, the average black person probably scrolling Instagram 3 hours a day, on and off. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 20 minutes there, 20, 30 minutes before they go to bed. Like, if you look at your screen time and you get an idea on how much, so it's like, we got the ability to attain the wealth. It's just we putting that effort in the avenues that don't really yield return.
Right.
So if you watching different podcasts that's entertaining you, or I'm educating you, if you following rather than the video vixen, if you following the business stuff, then you're gonna start learning, and it's all subconscious.
Yeah. I've been doing that my damn self. Like, I've been following a lot of pages with like the whole like little Amazon plot and things like that on how to make money on Amazon. And I'm like, I think I want to
Drop shipping and
but I think that they want to like want you to pay for a course and all that. That's why I'm like, I don't know, like this.
those be kind
The
of
nervous factor
weird.
that you was talking about.
Yeah, well, it boils down, right? So it boils down to a few things because a lot of people are hesitant, right, to say, do I want to pay, call it $1,000 for this course, right? But we all went to college, and I know what my college cost, right? And you ask yourself, I wouldn't have been to school, I didn't know how to invest, so you ask yourself, do you think the investment is going to be worth? Am I going to get a return on that investment? And at the end of the day, to a degree, you can spend a lot of time on YouTube, find a lot of free stuff, but some people have a skill set that they believe warrants a higher price. I feel as though the shit that I know, I should be charging motherfuckers a 50 ball to talk with me for a month. But I give a lot of it for free. You know what I mean? I give all of it really for the most part for free. So it just boils down. But I think what it does is it's stimulating your mind to say, okay, wait, I might not pay this person. Let me keep doing more research. And then you might come back full circle like, okay, let me actually buy this person's course to see if it's, because you didn't already did all the due diligence, you hit a brick wall to saying, okay, how do I now take this to the next level?
Right.
Smart.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't yet, read The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a great book, man, for real, for y'all that haven't. So I guess a question I got for you, I know we only got probably about 10, 15 minutes left, man. We've been flowing. And, in the black community, right? We both from Chicago. Well, shoot, I was southeast and moved southwest. You southeast. What advice would you give somebody who's like today, man? Maybe they're in their 20s, maybe in their 30s, where they're just like, you know what? I want to get more financial literacy, but I actually want to just start being able to prepare for my kids' future. What advice would you give them to start? One advice I know for sure he's going to say, get life insurance. That's just hands down. That's just being in there, get life insurance. It makes the most, because that's the easiest layup you can give your family, where if I die, I ain't about to give you my debt. I'm about to give you at least $200,000 to $1 million cash right there. Pay for your house. Pay for whatever. What advice would you give some people, man? It's another free nugget that y'all got coming up.
So we talking to a
Free
young
nugget.
parent.
Yeah, actually, I would say let's start with a young sister, because to be honest, this is just based on my experience. It's not a stereotype. I have met more women who are insecure about. The dudes will fake the funk though, so
They would.
But I'm about to say that a lot of dudes will fake the funk.
Yeah.
But I've spoken to more women that are insecure about talking about finances, because it's more of those like, you know what, if I don't see it, it's not it's not an urgent matter. Like, yeah, I know I can't pay this bill. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this money, and I don't want to go ahead and pay it because I just want to hold on to the money because I know it's gonna go that fast. You know, I've had those conversations where it's like, yo, pay your fucking bills. Like, credit matters. Like, credit matters.
It does.
But what advice would you give, let's just say, a young woman or a young man that's like, you know what, maybe late 20s. Yo, I need to get into the game. I feel like I'm starting late, but I need to get into the game.
Yeah, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And so the same thing with investing, same thing with money management. So if I'm talking to a young person, first things first, I'm telling them to budget. And the reason I say budget is because you got to track your inflows and outflows. And the most important thing after that is to understand how much money you could afford to start investing. Right? Like, investing is a game of, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so us as society, I ain't even gonna say black, white, or purple, us as a society, we conditioned to do one thing, right? Make money, pay bills, right? But we're never taught to pay ourselves first. And so once you start budgeting, you know what your inflows and outflows are. You want to start living below your means so you have excess money to start investing. And that investment money isn't a one time, I'm finna put $1,000 and hope I'll flip this motherfucker to $1 million. That's some scam shit. Like, the reality is, if I could afford 200, 400, 50, 1,000, whatever the number is, that's what you budgeting, right? The same way you paying your rent a month, your car note, this, that. You want to have an investing little sliver that you want to allocate every month. And that is the way that I really think about building wealth, because wealth isn't built, in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's like over time. And so as I'm telling a young person, live below your means, budget, figure out how much you can start investing. And now what we're trying to do is say, okay, at a minimum, you want to invest maybe 10 to 15% of your take home pay, right? Of your salary, because that's gonna help you retire rich, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, everybody you go on social media wants to put on a facade and appear to be rich, but the reality is, if I could tell you that you will truly be rich when you retire, if you take these steps, and I think you should be, all ears. And so it start with the budget. It start with saying, rather than just saying, I'm going to pay my mortgage and my rent and my car and my Hulu bill and all that every month, I'm going to pay my future self. Because that's what I look at investing, is you just paying yourself. You your future employer by doing right by you today, right? Everybody hate their boss, who work a job. I work corporate. I had people I ain't like, etc. But your biggest boss is of your future self. So now it's like, damn, you working for your future self. What type of employee you gonna be? And all you got to do is start putting money aside. And so then we're thinking about retirement, right? Because the biggest game is how not to let the government take your money, right?
True.
It's a fact. So you get a Roth IRA, depending on how much money you make. Roth IRA is the cheat code, because you got the ability to put up to, was it $6,500? I think it's $6K, but I think they just changed it. But it's called $6,000 a year. That money that you put in is coming out of your bank account, meaning that technically it's already been taxed. Now you look up, if you put in $6,000 in a Roth IRA, that money will never be taxed once you take it out. So now you're literally saying, because, who knows where the tax rate's going to be when we get ready to retire. Because if you look at the U.S. debt, the U.S. deficit is quadrupled over the past 2 years. So that being said, you never know where taxes will be. But I think like you said, you want to have a foundation of budgeting, investing, and then you want to build the nest, right? You need life insurance, you need estate planning, you need retirement, and you need accounts for your kids, though, right? A lot of people want to give their kids the shit that we didn't have growing up, right? If you from, I'm from the west side, I'm from the south side, my mama had me in the light up shoes or the Payless, this, that. So I want my shorty to have Gucci's. I want my shorty to go up a band. We try to give them everything we didn't have. And I'm a parent, I got 2 kids, right? I want them to be fresh. But the biggest thing I do is I teach them the shit I didn't know. Rather than just give them what I didn't have, you got to teach them what you didn't know. And so with that, like for my kid's birthday, my kid just turned 1. Today, the 22nd, 5 days ago, right? We had a birthday party for him. And the thing is a company that I'm an investor in, Early Bird, shout out to them, is one of the things I did was the same way I can, like, oh, you just bought this bottle, bet you grab the table, I'm gonna cash app you some bread. I could do the same shit for your shorty. I could cash app them effectively an investment though. Right, that's the way we're doing it. So, so like having custodial accounts. So literally, my kid probably got like $1,000, not cash, but investments.
Yeah.
So that $1,000 that's automatically invested into the account that I have chosen for him. When he's 18, that 1,000 might be, a 7 ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your money doubles, call it every 7 years. So when he's, we'll call it 3-4 ball, right? Obviously, I'm still putting money in, but that's the thing though, right? We are consistently investing. The biggest thing about building wealth is consistency.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the advice I give.
No,
That's what's up.
And then I'll probably tell their ass to make sure they join the Maconomics Club.
yeah, right.
Make sure they watch my Netflix, Get Smart with Money.
Yeah.
I gotta check that
Make
out.
sure anything I get,
Definitely check it out, man. Definitely
God.
check it out. And just for those that don't know, all right, so with your Roth, all right, because some people get confused, and this might be some nuggets for y'all. Your 401k,
Nuggets.
right? You can get it out of every one of your checks, but it gets taxed when you take that 401k out.
Yeah.
All right? So if it's before 65, you taking a bigger penalty for it. I think it's 65, right? Still 65?
59 and a half.
Oh, 59 and a half.
Mandatory distributions at 65.
So then after that, you still getting taxed, but you getting taxed at today's rate. So if we in, 2,300, whatever it is, you still get taxed at that rate at that time. You know what I'm saying?
It's a long ass time to think about.
I'm just giving you an example.
No, I
With
feel
the
that.
Roth IRA, however, it's getting taxed.
God willing,
at
we all make it to 59 and a half.
Right, my
And when you
goal-
make it there, it's like, damn, I'm set.
Yeah.
The problem is that, for men, our life expectancy is not as high as women.
True, true.
So if you only expect to
'Cause they
live
stress
till
us out.
70, and you they stress us out. If you're married, you understand. If you're married with kids, you understand. But if you gotta imagine, if your life expectancy is 77 and you retire at 65, right? The status quo. So I got 12 years to enjoy life with the money that I've accumulated over all this time.
Of working.
It's a whole different story. So I'm glad you painted that picture between, okay, your Roth is taxed on the way in, your 401k is taxed on the way out. So you got to think about having a balance of both, especially when your employer is matching it. The other piece that I got a question for, because I know we only got a couple minutes left. I know you got a question too, is you got this normal person, they 30, 40 grand in debt, right? And they thinking about, I'm listening to Maconomics. But right now, he's telling me that, okay, I just created a budget. I have $400 to put towards this amount every month. You know how long it's going to take me, right? Nobody has the patience. Patience is the thing that young people don't have this day. I'm young. At least I think I am. I don't have patience
I think
as much as I wish I had.
Ball head,
But that's
you
the
ain't
problem,
young
because
boy.
you're like, what? Fuck that. I want to figure out how to get a big chunk. I want to figure out how to hustle. I want to figure out how to one-up somebody, whatever it is, to pay off this amount. I don't want to go through the normal shit where, I'm going to spend the next 15 years paying this $400 a month to pay this loan off.
Wow.
So what advice do you have for people like that? That's a tough one.
No, it's not tough, right? So the reality is people have to learn to live below their means.
I agree, 100%.
It's only one reason you're $30,000 in debt, right? And I'm not talking student loans, right? I'm not talking mortgage. I'm talking credit card debt, right? It's only one reason you were living beyond your means. And as a result, now you got to take some drastic cutbacks. You got to find alternative methods of having other streams of income.
So that's minus cars too, right?
Minus cars.
Depending on what
Car
kind of
loan.
If you can't afford a $400, $500, $600 car, well, then hell, your ass needs to drive a Prius.
Yeah, living
true.
beyond your means.
Bruh.
So a budget is going to help you, right? So I tell people 50, 30, 20, right? 50% of your after-tax take-home money should be going towards your necessities. Necessities, right? I got the Maconomics budget plan, but yeah, 30% of things you want to do, 20% is saving and paying down debt and investing, right? And at the end of the day, if you make $5,000 after taxes every month, your rent shouldn't be $2,500.
Nope.
Because you still got to pay for food. You still got to pay for, your groceries. You still got to pay for different insurances and light
Insurance.
bill and all this other. So the reality is people got to figure out how to live below their means, right? I just was speaking with someone on a consultation earlier, right? And I had to let that person know that they needed to reevaluate some things and find a better way to live below their means, because building wealth is a long-term game, but you're only going to be mad at yourself, right? It's like you could try to ball out, and 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, most of.
70% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved up, right? So the reality is most people are living beyond their means, and so it's not just like, me just saying this, but the reality is when you're talking to that person, they got to figure out how they do it. And so you do it a variety of ways, and that is, you could do a debt snowball method where, you might get several credit cards, you got the car loans, etc. But you got to line up your debt, and you just got to attack it. You got to pay your minimums on all of them, and then you got to attack one of them.
Double up if you can on the one, right?
Exactly. You trying to double up that one, right? You saying, okay, I'm not gonna go out, right? I know this guy like to party. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying he 20, 30, but maybe he ain't in the club.
This guy like to party.
Man, for everything else, man.
I got one question too. Before you go,
subscribe to Maconomics.
Before you go though, what percentage of your mortgage or your rent should be on your monthly gross or net? What percentage should that be on your mortgage or your rent?
As long as all of it is less than 50.
Okay.
Right. If you
was
want
thinking
40 of it to go to your mortgage, you got to have food within 10%. Like, nah, like it's just
I was thinking 30%.
Yeah,
30% your mortgage, your rent, and then another 10 to 15% miscellaneous.
You'll know if you live in
I can
beyond.
I'm gonna tell you the
beyond
golden
your
rule
means.
now.
So when you plan to retire?
Golden rule now, all right? So when I was reading The Richest Man in Babylon, you gotta take notes. This is back in,
Take notes.
it's back in 2017, for real.
When am I planning to retire?
It says a tenth should go to yourself, right? Whatever you got, 2 tenths, so 20% of that should go towards your debt. 7 tenths should go towards like home, wife expenses, and your means of living or whatnot.
7 tenths.
All right. This is after taxes and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's saying like you should start accumulating wealth, your savings. You gotta have your own personal thing, right? Then 20% of that should actually go towards your debt. It basically saying like keep your shit under 30%. Right? And then the rest of it needs to take care of all your means, your travel, if you want to have a good time, if you want to pay your bills, all this stuff. Now, granted, those percentages can change based on like the industry you're in, your lifestyle, but at least it gives you an idea of like, you know what, every check you should pay yourself. Like, don't just, you get paid, don't just be paying all this other stuff and then buy, pay yourself first, AKA invest in yourself, in savings, whether it's the market, whatever it is, like start investing back in yourself, because at the end of the day, you getting these paychecks and you just giving it to Paul, Peter, Donovan, Nicole, whoever, and then the last minute you like, damn, I don't got nothing for myself.
Shit.
Right? And that's how you start living paycheck to paycheck. So
everybody that I talk to who talk finances and money and things like that, always pay yourself first. And we forget to do that. Always. And every time I get paid, I'm throwing a couple hundred in my savings, Then I figure everything else out.
You will. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, you gotta put it in your brokerage account.
I gotta open one we'll talk about that.
But you don't know brokerage account?
Big problem.
What? We gotta talk. Both of us gotta talk though.
I got a problem with that. I be paying all my bills, and then I'm like, after hearing I got this much left, all right, let me get myself a less. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be.
But if you had a budget, you would already know.
True.
Right? It's kind of to his point, right? If I already got a budget, I don't have to like pay everybody else out to figure out what's left for me.
Oh yeah, most
Like,
of
if I got a budget, it's like, okay, well shoot. If I got 300 from this check, I'm taking this 300 and I'm putting it in.
Mentally.
Maybe out of that 300, you put 100 into your savings, you put 200 into the market, right? Whether it's a Roth IRA, a 401k, whatever it is, it's going to accumulate wealth, because at the end of the day, putting your money underneath a mattress or in the savings account is not going to make that for you. It's going to
Depending on what say. I got Ally. They got pretty high savings.
They got
Ally Bank. I swear to God.
No, I'm not
it's
saying
like
they
it's
don't.
like 2.something%. Like
Yeah,
2.4%,
now I'm not saying that they
something
don't,
like
but I'm saying like, is it really going to compare to like the market?
That Roth IRA or something that's building your money rather than staying stagnant.
I do my budget every week.
No.
Good Excel doc.
So when y'all married, give y'all advice. When y'all married, make sure y'all have a plan. Like me and my wife, like we got a plan, you know. And I had to slowly break her into it. She wasn't big on like coming up with a budget. Hey, this is what you got to spend, this and that. But that can break up families. So making sure y'all got a budget, make sure y'all actually negotiate, actually talk about like, yo, this is what we're gonna have for us as a family. This is what's gonna have for you. This is what I'm gonna have for me, and this is what we're gonna have for like our shared expenses. So it's a lot, and there's a lot more to actually talk about here today. Like I feel like this time went by fast.
Oh yeah.
Bro, you got some tabs, don't you? All right, so we got a question from the crowd. What's up?
What's up?
So in regards to the S&P 500, like doing the index fund, can you talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. So, question from the crowd. We talking about S&P 500. Y'all ain't know we record in front of a live audience.
Yup.
We ain't put the applause sign up, so they ain't make no noise
Stay
yet.
away from those buttons. Stay away from those buttons. There you go.
So, especially this young man right here, he needs to understand it because he got his money sitting in his bank account. Bank account, your money losing value just being in your bank account because the inflation rate in America right now is 6%, which means that if you got $100, it can only buy you $94 worth of goods next year. So the 2% that Ally gets you is not enough because, you know what I'm saying, you only be able to really get, you know what I'm saying, we get you that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that being said, one way alternative is investing in the S&P 500. What is S&P 500? S&P 500, the average return of it is 10% annually. Some years it goes higher, some years it goes lower, but the average is 10%. Last year it was down 19. So therefore, the best time to invest is when it's down 19. Now, what is the S&P 500? It's an index that tracks America's biggest companies, best companies. Any company that you use, chances are it's in there. Every company, for the most part, that you use, that you buy. We're talking, I'm looking. They don't pay for it, but I looked at that sign that said Amazon Basics. We all got iPhones, right? So Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, Visa, MasterCard.
And the base
we all shop at Target,
Shit, Chases.
Walmart,
Yeah.
right? And that Pfizer,
Bank of
Johnson &
America.
Johnson, any type of company you could think of, any industry. And so when you talk about the S&P 500, at a bare minimum, that's where you can put your money, right, to get you that 10%. And then when it comes to trying to get more than 10%, it's when you talk with motherfuckers like me who do this.
It's real. And that's what you do.
Man.
It's Man in Babylon. They
sure,
tell you
for
it's
sure.
people that know what they're talking about. And
For
then you
sure,
got the
for sure.
NASDAQ, right? But that's more, I mean, they've been taking a big hit, you know, lately. But
Yeah.
however, shit, they was like, shit, Big Brother, you let me know if I'm wrong. They were Big Brother for a while. That's how a lot of your tech companies, right? And then now they're starting to feel that pain. And I know we wanted to go into like the whole Silicon Valley Bank issue.
But I'll go into it real quick, although I got to get home.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
When you talk about the NASDAQ, see, the NASDAQ is high growth tech companies for the most part. And so when interest rates go higher, I'm going to try to say this in the easiest way. When interest rates go higher, the valuation of tech companies has to become lower because I'm trying to do it in the most simplest way, but it's a discounted cash flow, yada, yada, yada. I can say it in the easiest way. A lot of tech companies, you got value and growth companies, right? Tech companies are growth companies, so they're borrowing money to continue to grow. And so if borrowing costs increase, and therefore their bottom line is going to be
And the growth is
lower,
going to decrease.
right? And so, in times of when rates go higher, value companies tend to do better because growth companies take a hit because they have to be re-rated. They start to become too expensive, but
It's real.
that probably still don't make sense. So,
But no, actually,
I'm
yeah.
just doing
in a way where I'm like, okay, if I was a normal person, I could make sense out of that.
Yeah.
So, no, man, I know you do the. My God, man, I appreciate you, dog. We may have to have you on the part two. Or something.
For sure.
Definitely have to have you on the part two, man. We're gonna take some questions.
You
from
still ain't answered though. I just got one. When you plan to retire? You plan to retire young, early?
young, without a doubt.
Bet.
It's
trying to
all.
retire
I
in
mean,
the next
it's
10
all
years.
about the freedom.
Yeah.
Financial freedom is the goal.
Yeah.
I'm. Goal is to be there yesterday as opposed to tomorrow, but
Yeah.
soon for sure.
And if y'all haven't read the book, it's called The Wealth Cure.
The wealth what?
Wealth Cure, and it talks
Okay.
about like, you know what, just having money is not enough. Like it's about the money and your health, your peace of mind, everything like
Most
that.
definitely, most definitely.
So if y'all haven't read it, it's called The Wealth Cure.
I'm gonna check it out.
Put y'all on. All right. For sure, man. Hey, let them know where they can find, man.
Yo.
You know, Maconomics, you got it, man. But
Yes,
let them know
sir.
where they can find you. Let them know where they can subscribe.
You already know, man. Much love. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you guys already know, man. My name Ross Mack. You can find me on everything. I'm Ross Mack on pretty much all socials. I'm Ross Mack. Shoot me a text message if you really want to know how to get to a bag. 773-232-2577. And let's get to it. You
Yes,
know what I'm
sir.
saying? Maconomics.com.
Say,
Maconomics.com.
read it, man. for
Black
real.
Wealth Matters. You already know we got the merch. How we coming.
And let's keep building.
Believe it.
My God.
Sure.
Man,
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
y'all.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
You know, y'all,
Let me get it.
Come in.
I know y'all can find your boy, man. Ball ass Celeste. That's his more. What's up, man? Let them know AJ how they can find you.
Hey, Handsome Phenom, y'all already know what it is.
You already know, man. It's the kid Jared, man. The J Jones 05 on Instagram. You already know, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in, man.
And shout out to Fabre
Yes,
Studios,
sir.
man. And let's get it with Black Wealth, baby.
Hey, bro, let's
Yeah.
get to the money.
Yeah, hit it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Wow.